Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Vaughan here from Ballroom Mastery. How are you on this lovely day or evening, wherever you are? The purpose of today's lesson is to get you inspired and motivated. But I got my coffee here because it's been a little bit of a rough start to the morning. Can you feel me? Now, I just need to make sure that my audio is working because last Friday, I actually recorded a 20-minute lesson for you. And guess what happened? The mic was on mute. So let me just do a quick little run through. Meanwhile, grab your cup of tea. Oh, this is good. I can hear myself. What's up, Kingsley? Nice to hear you, man, from Zimbabwe. Quick one for you. You left me a question the other day. You said you want to get people interested in dance sport. You said you're becoming a teacher or you are a teacher. Advertising, spend the money. Don't be like other people. People are not going to come to you unless you spend the money. So if you have any more questions like that for me, Wednesdays is your day. Now, today, I want to talk to you about something that just grinds me so much as a coach. Like, it's like one of my most passionate subjects. And, you know, sometimes I feel for my students and the competitors I teach and my clients that I get because they often get a little bit of a rant from me because I often find their expectations for what they want to achieve in dancing does not meet reality. That's right. Perhaps you're guilty of it. I know I am. I know sometimes I'd look at other people, I'd be a bit envious of their success, or I'd be a little bit like jealous of like, oh man, they're so good at what they're doing. Like, how are they that good? And that left really early in my mind when I am going to do what I suggest you do. But I want to use a couple of examples. So a few years ago, I had a lady I would teach. And it was quite funny because she had the talent, right? Not everyone has talent to dance. She had talent. The rest of us have to work really hard. It just came so naturally for her, right? But to her detriment, because every time she would make a mistake, like not get it right, I'd be like, that's off time, or you've got to correct this bit of technique. She'd get all emotional, right? Her eyes would get red. She would cry, right? And look, I had to go to a point where I said, look, when are you allowed to cry? And she'd be like, what do you mean? I said, when are you allowed to cry? And she goes, oh, when I make it, anytime I feel like it. I was like, no, you can cry after the lesson. That's when you're allowed to cry. When it hits 6 p.m., you can cry then. And she's like, oh, all right. So next time she'd make a mistake, she'd be like getting ready. I said, when are you allowed to cry? She said, after my lesson. I said, good girl, that's the way to do it. And then as we kept going through that, she was training herself to regulate her own emotions. She didn't really realize that's what was happening, but that's exactly what was happening. She was regulating her emotions. She was controlling how she was, or making a choice to feel a certain way in a moment in time. Now, before it was an unconscious choice. She would just make a mistake, feel bad because she thought she was an idiot or not good at what she would do. And then guess what would happen as a result? She'd have an emotional reaction to that and she would cry. Now, it was unwarranted because that type of emotion isn't warranted when you're fixing things, yeah? It's part of the course. So anyways, what would end up happening is as time would go on, she would get better and better at doing this. She would get used to me saying that. And then it became a joke. I was like, when are you allowed to cry? And she's like, after my lesson. And I was like, that's the way to do it, right? So she started to regulate the way she felt. Now, that's part of expectations meeting reality. You're not going to get it right all of the time. It's impossible. Mistakes are nature's way of helping you to grow. And failing, well, look, you don't fail unless you quit. The dance graveyard is littered with the death of more dancing dreams than I think of dances that exist in the world. So many people come into this with one expectation of doing well, and then they leave because they realize, well, they might realize it's not for them, and that's fine, but for the rest of the people who actually had the ability to make something have a go of it, they were their worst own enemy. And part of the reason is expectation not meeting the reality of what is needed to get to where they want to go. Let me give you another example. I have another person who I'm coaching, and one of the goals is I want to be absolutely amazing. I want to be one of the best dancers. I want to be able to dance like I see on YouTube, right? YouTube's a friend and an enemy, I suppose, because they watch YouTube and go, God, that looks easy. I want to dance like that. Why can't I dance like that? Then they go to the mirror and they're like, oh, this doesn't look like it. Oh my God, no, I can't go in public like that. And so the first competition comes around, and this is a very common experience I've had with dozens of couples. The first competition comes around, and it's like excitement for it. There's so many nerves. There's the doubt, can I do it? The fear of looking bad, the ridicule, all the very normal things. Competition happens, and guess what? What do you expect? They don't do well. Very normal. You tell me a champion who was born today who won every single competition. Every champion was a beginner at one point. Every champion has lost more than they've won. Hear that right. Every single champion, anyone you admire has lost more than they won. Anyone you admire in business has probably lost more money than they've made. They've just learnt from it, so therefore they can grow from it. Therefore, they've made more. Champions have lost more than the average person. Therefore, they can win more. You understand? That's how it happens. They're willing to play the game. But the expectation has to meet reality. I'm like, look, let's do a reality check. And by the way, I hate the word realistic, but this matters a lot when it comes to performance, and this matters a lot when it comes to achieving goals. It is very easy for you to put a pen to paper and just say, world champion by 2025. Then go into the studio once a week for 40 minutes. Oh, but it's not 40 minutes of training. It's like get to the studio late, unprepared, barely warm up, and go through the routine. Then a lesson on top of that. Okay, you ain't gonna get your goal. I'm so sorry. It's just not gonna happen. That is not being me a hater. That is not being me being negative. Your expectations are not meeting reality of what has to occur for that event to take place. So I believe you have potential. I believe you have greatness within you. I believe that your mind is limitless. Set the limitations you put on yourself. Your physical body is going to have some limitations depending on your age. With all of that aside, if you say to yourself, I want this level of result, you've got to then backtrack and think, all right, what are the current people like that doing? And not everyone wants to be a champion of any sort. I'm talking, it could be national champion, state champion, country champion, European champion, world champion. Not everyone wants to be a champion, that's fine. But you want to be great for yourself, right? So what does that mean for you? Define the parameters and say, look, because when this gentleman said, I want to be the best, I was like, what the hell does that mean? What is best? Number one in the world. Does that really make someone the best? I mean, really? So you're saying if that is the case, then all other competitors are worse? They're the worst dancers? I don't think, it doesn't work like that. Art is subjective. Of course they're not, right? So define the parameters. Are you more on balance? Do you have better posture? How do you look? Oh, I don't look retarded. I look like a numpty. That's a good starting point, but define exactly the characteristics of what you look like to be the best, because at least you got something in. Now, then you got to keep working beyond that. You got to then go, all right, if I want to be the best, and the best to me means that I'm on balance, I'm on time, I never make a mistake in my choreography, great starting points. You then got to look at it and think, how much time do I need to dedicate for that to happen? Because I don't know any dancer, and I'm talking the low grades, like who doesn't train almost every day, who are winning, okay? So there's a starting point and a clue to matching up your expectations with reality. If you are saying, look, I just love dancing. I'm passionate about it. I don't really want to go on the floor to win and be a champion. No problems. I'm not suggesting, because that isn't for everyone. But you're going to get disappointed because you're going to come off the floor and go, you know what? I sucked that weekend. I embarrassed myself. I didn't like how I looked. What can I do about it? Okay. What were you expecting? Oh, I was expecting to place. Right, this is the conversation. I was like, but you never said that before. You're expecting to what, be in the top 3 or the second or what? No, I want to be in the finals. It's like everyone in the finals is out training you because that's what they really want. So they're in the studio every day. They're doing 3 lessons a week. They're going to the gym. Like that is part of the reality matching expectation. That doesn't guarantee they're going to win, but that's part of it, right? So I said, just align the two better. If you say to yourself, look, I want to make sure I know my routines and I'm on time, great. Do a lesson a week, do a training or 2 a week, awesome. Do not expect to be a champion at that level. It's never going to happen, but it's the starting point. And I always encourage people, get in the studio. So don't overcommit yourself in the sense of I'm going to go every single day. You're going to burn out. I've had couples come in and they burn out in a week because they go 4 days in and they're like, I'm dying. When I started dancing, I didn't even know you could compete, okay? I had no idea dance sport existed. I never imagined this. Come on, like I didn't go, that's my goal. I started doing one private lesson. I started doing a group class because I could meet girls, right? I started doing just the basic work and then I did my medal test. I was like, you know what, this passion grew on me. And so as the passion grew, my commitment grew. And I started going, what's next? I mean, if I'm noticing a result doing this, maybe I'll do another private lesson. So 2 private lessons a week became pretty much normal from day 1 for me. And then 1 training session a week. But I was consistent. So I also say to couples that are struggling, you're not consistent enough. It's like, okay, you're there on 1 day a week, you turn up for your lesson, but you're late. And when you do train, you don't really do it the right way. So it's like, you gotta be consistent there. How about you start at that point and do it every week regularly. 1 day a week, 1 lesson a week, and you don't miss one of them, ever. You'll be sick, you get in the studio, right? Like, or you make up for the day. But you don't miss it, you keep consistent. Once that happens, you are gonna see a difference in your dancing. You're gonna feel better, you're gonna see the joy coming through. You'll be like, this is awesome. Then you add on the next level, whatever that means for you. From there, as your passion will grow, your intensity behind the passion will fuel it and grow, your commitment level is rising, your consistency is gluing it together, and when that happens, you start to notice the results get better. So what you can then do is raise up your level, what I would call a standard for your life. Rather than expecting to win or expecting to be like this on the dance floor, because it's not gonna happen. In the reality of dancing, when you're on the actual floor, it is unknown, it's uncertain, it's risky. You can train for 6 months and forget your routine in the moment. I've done that. I've gone on the floor and ready to start. I'm like, shit, what's my step? No. And I've forgotten my blank, the whole thing, man. Like, and I've been dancing for years at that point, you know? It happens, right? I've had it happen as a professional. Oh my God, can you relate to this? I got on the floor once to do a jive, or in the final, I'm like, yeah, man, we're gonna rock this one out. I was loving it. The audience was awesome. I was like, let's go. And I got up to Alice. I was like, what's my stance? And like, I started dancing. I led her into something. It wasn't even our routine. She's just this little look in her eyes. She gave me this look. You know what I'm talking about, dudes, when a woman gives you that little look and you what are you doing? You're fucking this one up. And I was like, yeah, and I just started kicking, man. Like, I was like, oh, let's go. If I'm going out, I'm going out in a blaze of glory. And then somewhere along the way, I remembered part of my routine again, off we went. And so it's really fascinating what can happen sometimes, but that to me is the joy of dancing. You can prepare all you like and shit like that can happen. It's how you come back from it. You don't want to come back from a competition going into it with one expectation and then getting disappointed when you come back to the studio and realize, not only did I not meet my expectation, but I was actually expecting to do better. However, I'm not really willing to spend any money on lessons. I'm really not really going to do any more training. I'm so tired. I'm so busy in my life. You don't understand, Vaughan. You don't get it. Work is so hard, and I've got my family, and I got this, and I got that. I'm like, what the fuck? Who cares? Okay, no problems, but just don't cry about your results, okay? Because winners, the people who are kicking your ass, have the same issues. They've got family problems, they've got money problems, they've got time problems, they've got partnership problems. They've probably got more than you, right? But they don't give in. They train, they dedicate, they focus. So you can't compete against that if you don't want that, all right? So be cool on yourself, give yourself grace. Look, one of the things I always say to my couples is like, you gotta give yourself space for grace. It's so critical, because if you don't give yourself breathing room to allow yourself to be thankful for how far you've even come to get on the floor, like, what is going to do it for you? Nothing. I'm telling you, the fleeting moment of holding a trophy is like, wow, I've been recognized. 2 minutes, you feel good. And then after that, you're like, what's next? It's like, it's so fleeting. So like let's just match up what you really want with the reality of the work you're willing to put in behind it. And then don't be disappointed when results maybe don't line up. Align things correctly. You're going to find you have more joy, you'll actually have more passion, and you'll be happier with yourself because you're sticking to the commitments properly. And from there, if it's the thing you want to be doing more of, you'll naturally be able to grow it without having to force it. You know, if you have to force it, it negates, and negating is an energy you don't want because it's draining. I'm telling you, the last thing that you want is draining energy. You want to be fueled up going into the studio, not like, oh, I have to train. You don't have to do anything until you want to, then you don't have to anymore. This is Vaughan. Thank you for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please like and share the video with someone that you care about, and I will see you in the next one. Till then,